Overseas voting for South Korea's presidential election began on Wednesday. Those registered have until next Monday in their local time zone to cast ballots at local embassy or consulate office. Shin Ye-eun sheds light on day one.
As soon as the clock hit 8 a.m. on Wednesday, some 21,551 South Koreans living around the world started to cast their ballots to choose the country's next president. This is roughly 10% of some 226,000 overseas Koreans who had registered to vote in advance. Consulate offices and separate polling stations in 115 countries will be open for voters until the end of the month. The U.S. is expected to have the most ballots, with over 53,000 Koreans in the country registered to vote. Despite having the highest number of registered voters, only 5% made it to the polls on the first day. Those who did come shared what they wanted to see from South Korea's next president.
I hope the next president can impose policies that can help millions of overseas Koreans living across the world.
China had the second most overseas Korean voters. Some 9% of those registered either visited the embassy in Beijing or 9 other locations across China to cast their votes.
I hope a candidate who can serve the country and help all citizens achieve their greater cause is elected.
Over in Japan, some 3,500 voters cast their ballots on the first day. The Korean embassy forecasts the number of voters for this election to be lower than the last election in 2017. This is partly because there are fewer Koreans in Japan right now due to COVID-19 and travel restrictions. Korean military personnel abroad were among those voting early. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said all of its troops dispatched in different parts of the world, like Lebanon or the UAE, have finished voting. Meanwhile, the Korean embassy in Ukraine has canceled all voting plans because of its escalating geopolitical situation. Around the world, only 11% of overseas Koreans have registered to vote, so turnout will be lower than in previous elections. Elections will be held until February 28th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. local time. Voters must have a valid photo ID with them to vote. The ballots will then be sent to South Korea and won't be opened until Election Day on March 9th. Shin Ye-eun, Arirang News.